Meantime, California voters will decide next month whether to amend the state's constitution to define marriage as between one man and one woman. If Proposition 8 is approved, it will overturn a recent California Supreme Court ruling which recognized same-sex marriage right here in California. Tonight, Cal State Bakersfield is hosting a debate on Prop 8. The debate will feature 4 panelists, 2 people who support the proposition, as well as 2 people who oppose it. And the event goes from 7 to 9 o'clock tonight at CSUB in the Student Union Multipurpose Room. And coming up in our 6:30 half hour, we will be joined by 2 of those panelists. Local gay rights activist Whitney Weddell, as well as Kern High School District trustee Ken Mettler, who is leading the local campaign to pass this proposition.
And people on both sides of Proposition 8 will debate at Cal State Bakersfield later tonight. Prop 8, of course, would make it illegal for gay couples to get married here in California. Ken Mettler, who is behind the effort to pass Proposition 8, joins us live in studio, and Whitney Weddell opposes it. Again, both of them join us live in studio this morning to give us their sides of this story. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
So, Ken, let's start with you. Why should people vote for this proposition?
Well, Proposition 8 defines a marriage back to a man and a woman, and society, through the majority will of its citizens, definitely has the right to define the basic institutions of our society, and the family unit, headed by one man and one woman, is the most basic institution and the best for raising children.
And, Whitney, why should folks not vote for it?
Well, a right, by definition, is something that's guaranteed, and we don't allow people to vote on other people's rights. If we had allowed folks to vote, for instance, on segregation, we would still have people riding in the back of the bus. That kind of discussion is just not typical for discussion of rights.
So, Ken, let's get into that discussion. Is marriage a right?
A marriage is a right as long as it's between one man and one woman. Again, the definition of marriage to the will of the people, and it is the definition throughout millennium. Look at the dictionaries. It says marriage is one man, one woman. To use the analogy that it has anything to do with past civil rights cases is an insult to our black citizens. That is not the case in this situation.
Well, let me ask you then, because you did say it's a right for only a man and a woman. So you believe that that right should only be given to people who want to marry in a traditional sense. It shouldn't be given to other people as a right.
That is correct. We do not allow people to marry their cousin. We don't allow for polygamy. So society has the right to set parameters and set what the standards are in our society. And marriage between one man and one woman has proven itself to work. We should not abandon that. And it is the institution that is the healthiest for our society also.
Whitney, let me give you a chance to respond to that. Is this the healthiest situation?
Well, there's a number of organizations, psychiatric and sociologic, that have all said that relationships between loving couples can be beneficial as families in any form, as long as they're loving and caring. And it doesn't necessarily require the 2 people to be heterosexual. And when you look at the tradition of marriage, it depends on what tradition you'd like to look at. I mean, if you go back as far as the Bible, polygamy was the standard. And now we look at marriage as being more generally a man and a woman, and yet marriage has changed many times over the years, and it is not the worse for it. I mean, there's new divorce laws. They added birth control back in the 60s, and everyone said, oh, marriage will come to an end. And it didn't then, and because of gay marriage, it won't now.
Whitney, let me ask you, though, you were one of the first couples, in fact, you may have been the first couple to get married here in Kern County. How does it make you feel when people say that you and your partner don't have a right to get married in this state?
It's painful. It's very painful. There's a definite sense that I'm not worthy, that as a person I count for less than other people. I mean, Britney Spears has proven that she's no good at the marriage thing, but she can remarry as many times as she wants. And I, on the other hand, have worked very hard to build a loving and strong relationship with my wife, and I'm being told over and over that I'm not worthy of that.
And Ken, let me give you a chance to respond to that.
Well, sure. I understand that individuals may wish to define things that suit their particular circumstance. However, society as a large has the obligation to procreate, to extend the life of their society. And just because a few individuals feel that in their particular circumstance they wish to have a definition that fits their circumstance, we could never accommodate the myriad of circumstances that are out there. So the definition is one man, one woman. It is a right that is available to everyone. They have to meet that minimum requirement. And as far as procreation, it is the ideal one man, one woman, a husband and a wife in a loving bond. raising children. It's not always achievable, and unfortunately, we need to do everything we can to strengthen traditional marriage, not do actions that tear it down and further weaken that institution.
And can we also give you a chance to talk about another issue that's been brought up by the Proposition 8 campaign, saying that, you know, kids are being forced to learn about same-sex marriage in schools, even if their parents don't want them to learn about it?
Well, absolutely. When we're talking about rights here, this legislation should, the existing interpretation that the biased and arrogant Supreme Court on a 4-3 decision passed down a few months ago were to stand, it does affect the rights of those. It actually forms a protected class of people who have rights that are superior to the rest of the citizens of this state. For example, citizens of faith, they would be actually subordinate to a protected class, the homosexual marriage class.
And Whitney, let me give you a chance to respond here. Just a couple seconds left.
Well, there's no such thing as a superior class when you're talking about equality. Equality means everyone is equal, and no one has more rights or fewer rights than anyone else. And the goal of defeating this initiative is to ensure that equality exists for all citizens.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. We have a lot of time to talk about it this morning, but the debate will go on at Cal State Bakersfield later tonight. We won't put that information on your screen. I want to thank you both really quickly, though, for coming in this morning and starting that debate. Of course, it is a very controversial issue. There's been back and forth in the polls on whether or not who's in the lead right now and how it's going to be voted. Thanks so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
CSUB will be hosting a debate this evening regarding another proposition on the November ballot. We're talking about Prop 8 right now. The Bakersfield's Gay, Lesbian, Straight Student Network is teaming up with the Kegley Institute of Ethics to host the debate. 2 speakers who oppose the bill and 2 who support the bill will make their case in the Student Union multipurpose room. It starts at 7 o'clock this evening. You might recall Proposition 8 would be a constitutional amendment to define marriage between a man and a woman. The public is invited to attend.